The 21st century is not just known for change, but also rapidity, how fast things are changing. Due to the changes which are brought about by human beings, the Geological Society has actually considered that the subsequent years it should be renamed as Anthropocene era. Now, to indicate the fact that humans have had their imprint in several domains. For example, industrial emissions have changed the global composition of the atmosphere with more and more carbon dioxide, nitrous oxide, and even elements like sulfur hexafluoride. We have a more amount of nuclear matter getting processed. We have more industrialization. There is large-scale decline of biodiversity, and this time the extinction is accelerated by human beings. So crisis is some word which you can associate with several domains which are happening in today's world. In the light of the above situation, Jared Diamond comes up with a very interesting book. Hi, this is Gautam, and for this episode, we will be looking at Upheaval, written by Master Jared Diamond. The book has an unlikely beginning. At the first chapter, the author talks about his personal struggles, which he of course does, but not in this much detail. He says he had a personal crisis at the age of 20 when he considered switching over a career from research to linguistics. Now, he says if you want to analyze and understand a crisis and then take proper decisions, he lists a series of 12 factors. What Jared Diamond does interestingly is that take these 12 factors and then apply it over countries, how different nations dealt with different crises in different periods of time. Now, at the outset, it might look, illogical. How can you apply something for an individual towards a nation? But he convinces you through the pages. What seems like an unlikely overreaching attempt finally becomes a wonderful new perspective and understanding world history, world political order, and world geography. The 7 countries include Finland, United States of America, Japan, Chile, Australia, Indonesia, and finally, Germany. Now, if you look at the order of or the list of countries, you'd feel that they are in different areas and then the crisis cannot be compared. But if you think about it, there is a certain level of commonality. For example, you take both Germany and Japan, both those countries were on the receiving end of World War II. They lost World War II. But in spite of the fact that they were on the losing side, their problems were totally different. You take Japan. Japan is an Asian nation. It had integrated both the new developments in Western industrialization with its own traditional setup. So it's more of a mosaic, as Jared Diamond writes. And if you take Germany, Germany was at the losing end of World War I. Germany was also the losing end of World War II. The country was broken, it was bombarded, and after the end of World War II, it was split into 2 countries, Western Germany and Eastern Germany. But if you look at both Germany and Japan today, in a span of 75 years, 65 to 70 years, you see that both Japan and Germany have become industrial powers. You cannot neglect them in world affairs. And their economic development has been very, very focused on manufacturing. So how exactly did Germany and Japan, who are in different domains, had different problems, different characteristics, decide to undertake a crisis, and how did they overcome? That makes for wonderful reading. What I liked about the book is that he also takes Finland. Finland is not a country which you usually read in world affairs because it is not part of power play. The only time when Finland makes news is regarding happiness index, human development index, or literacy rate. You'd find that Finland has achieved something really interesting. You find that always in the top 5. But during World War II, Finland had severe crisis, and that is what Jared Diamond explores. I mean, if you picture the geography, Finland was located between the expanding German Empire of Hitler and the Soviet Empire of Stalin. So caught between 2 large powers, how did Finland recognize its own crisis, and what decisions does it take after World War II in 1950s, 60s and 70s, which makes Finland one of the most successful countries when it comes to social and economic development. The book also asks and convincingly answers several questions. For example, when did Australia decide that it needs to move away from the European tradition and become more and more Asian? And if you take Chile, a South American country which is properly bordered by its natural features, you have deserts and mountains protecting the country, a very peaceful democratic country for several decades, finally ends up in a dictatorship, a horrible dictatorship for more than 20 years. And finally, he deals with the present crisis in the United States, both the advantages, both the successes and the failures of the United States of America. For example, what are the geographic, historic and demographic factors which makes USA successful? And at the same time, is it possible for USA to remain in the same situation because there is a crisis brewing? Jared Diamond does point out several features or several problems which affect USA. He basically talks about four problems. And in that, one thing which is widely discussed, in several political and social circles is that there is increasing polarization and that there is less amount of acceptance, less level of tolerance which is present in the United States, and that it is straining its own democracy. My only regret with the book was that it did not deal with China, because China is the aspiring superpower of the world, and I would have definitely liked an analysis of that too. But that's what Jared Diamond writes. He says that the method, or with the descriptive research methodology which he has used for these seven countries can also be extrapolated and then can be used as a method to understand others too. So maybe we need to do China for ourselves. If you're interested in world geography and world history, this book is indispensable. What I liked about the author is that it's been more than 20 years since his groundbreaking book, Guns, Germs and Steel, was published. And in spite of that, 20 years since his publication, he still continues, to really make world history and geography give different perspectives every time he comes up with wonderful thesis. So that's it for now. If you like the video, do like, comment and subscribe.